everyone. Thank you for joining us on Paranormal Hot Seat tonight. I am your host, Donna Guerin, and I have with me a guest co-host, Michael Ann. Hey, Stacy's unable to join us tonight, so I have Michael joining me, and then I have three special guests with us tonight. So I am going to introduce them one at a time. They are from Paranormal Underground Magazine. So first there's Cheryl. She has over 30 years as a professional writer. I got my notes in front of me, sorry. The co-creator, editor-in-chief of Paranormal Underground Magazine, in which Mackinville Paranormal was featured in back in August. Ooh, got to throw that in there. She's also the co-host of Intention is Everything podcast and producer of the Paranormal Underground Radio. So I bring you Cheryl Knight-Wilson. Hey, Cheryl.
Hi, Donna. Hi, Michael. How are you tonight?
We're good.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining us this evening. I know it's late over there where you are. You guys are on East Coast time. So next we're going to bring in Karen Frazier. She is the other co-host of Intention is Everything podcast. She's also a psychic medium, an author, and ordained minister, metaphysical practitioner, and she holds a bachelor's and master's degree in medical and physical science. That is an impressive resume, I have to tell you.
That is.
So she's also, hey Karen, she wears a lot of hats.
I sound way more impressive on paper than I am in real life. I promise if you met me in real life, you would be sorely disappointed.
Oh no, I'm sure we wouldn't be. And then we have Chucky G. And I see that he is the inner voice healer. I saw that. I was like, oh yeah, I got to throw that in there. So of In the Dark Investigations, he also wears a lot of hats. He's a paranormal investigator, teacher, psychic medium, motivational speaker, life coach, minister, certified master in Reiki. I had to look that up to see how to pronounce that. Mediation, and certified in law of attraction, and co-host of Mindful Mystics podcast. That is a mouthful. I know. And here he is, Chucky G.
Hello. How's it going?
Thank you again, everyone, for being here. I so appreciate you guys. Let me put my little list up here. And Michael, she's actually the psychic medium for Mackinville Paranormal's Phoenix team. So yeah, she helps out quite a bit. She cracks me up because sometimes we'll just be out somewhere and she'll just start talking about somebody that has a spirit around. And she was like, well, his grandmother is hanging out with him and she's saying this and that, and I'll just start laughing. So my first question is for Cheryl. How did it come about that you started a paranormal magazine, and what is your experience in the paranormal field?
Well, this magazine was kind of a group effort, and it actually started back on, when was it? 2008. Let me go back a little bit farther. There was a group of us who met online and I think it was originally on the Ghost Hunters TV show chat room on sci-fi.com.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so fans of the show just kind of gathering. And I remember going to that site because there was a long pause between I think it was the first season and the second season. I was like, hey, when's the show coming back?
Yeah.
So I saw that upon doing that research that there was a fan group, and I thought, oh, let me start chatting. And so I met Karen there, and I met my future husband there, Chad.
No,
and we we conceptualized a magazine because my experience, my background is magazine journalism. And so it was
cool.
Just, hey, we're all paranormal experiencers. At that time, I don't think any of us were doing paranormal investigation.
Mm-hmm.
We were experiencers who, were looking for answers. And so we decided to start a magazine. But it just blew up from there. And, what is it? 14 years later, I think it is.
Wow.
We're still going, and we've had variations. We started a podcast in 2017. 2009. I'm like, there's so many dates to think about.
Years are running together, huh?
Yeah, and the podcast also evolved over the years. I think it started as Paranormal Underground Presents, and it went to these different titles. And actually, currently, I didn't give you an updated bio. I'm so sorry. Currently, it's called Mindful Mystics.
Oh, okay.
That's our current. We just like to evolve over the years. And so we're now called Mindful Mystics Podcast. And
one of us gets bored really easily. And so
come up with stuff.
Yeah. We like to kind of just regenerate, kind of like Doctor Who. If you're a Doctor Who fan, we just like to, do new things and kind of like go with the flow. And we evolve over the years.
Awesome.
So I didn't have experience until
I picked up on my phone, and then I got it back. I was like, "Oh no, wait, stop!"
I just had experiences, and then over the years, I've investigated and gotten more into the research side of things. With the magazine and investigations. Yeah.
So when you say experiences, when did you first start having experiences?
When I started, I can't remember my age. I might have been 7 or 8.
Oh, okay.
And after that first experience, it just grew over the years. I don't know why it was that age that it started, but it did, and then it continued.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I listened to a little bit of The Intention Is Everything. When you and Karen were discussing dreams, and I found that very interesting. So do you think that there's like a connection between the paranormal and the dreams at some point, or no?
So I do. I actually, before we bought this house, and I probably should not tell this story publicly because at some point we'll want to sell this house.
Okay.
But before we bought this house, 20 years ago now, I had a dream that it was haunted. And I was like, oh, I just watch too much stuff. I just read spooky things. And we got here, and it is. It's a nice haunting, however, just, for future house buyers. It's not, nobody's ever yelled, "Get out." I've never seen red eyeballs in the basement, so it's a very nice, friendly haunting.
That's awesome. Because I'm waiting for my sister. She might pop in. She's a courier, and she's out delivering packages. She's like, I might pop in. So, because you said in the podcast about like when people declutter their homes, they should declutter internally as well. So how does somebody go about decluttering internally? Because that's actually, I never really thought about it that way. And I was like, she's got a good point.
Meditation, personal cleansing rituals, even things like deep breathing, having a practice, whatever that practice is, whether it's yoga or Nia or modern dance or any of those things, having a practice, that's kind of how you decolor internally. And then also paying attention to your dreams and dealing with the shit that comes up in your dreams, right? Because your dreams bring up all this dark subconscious goo from our past and all of these things that we don't want to see. And so one of the ways that you declutter internally is that you deal with those things, whether it's through talk therapy, whether it's through journaling, whether it's through just realizing that there's some stuff you need to let go. All of those ways are how you declutter internally.
Oh, yeah, that sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was going to say something.
I totally understand, being somebody that actually seems I can do remotes and see dream images around people. I can definitely see that correlation. So, yeah.
Sorry. I don't know if anybody's in the chat. For some reason, it's not showing up. So don't think that I'm ignoring you. If you're leaving messages, just say, hi, I'm glad you're here. I appreciate it, because the broadcast for some reason wasn't scheduled until tomorrow. So that I'm thinking that could be why. So I'm not ignoring you. It's just not showing up for me. So Chucky G.
Yes, ma'am.
What's up? I just love his name. What's up, Chucky G?
Not much. What's up with you?
I'm Donna G.
Donna G.
Oh, what happened? Where'd she go? Cheryl got kicked out.
Oh no.
Oh, hopefully she'll pop back in. So you've got a lot of experience in the paranormal field. There she is. She got kicked out.
Whoa, now I'm on this side. Nice.
Yeah,
Sorry.
maybe on that side. Yeah.
User error, my fault.
You're fine.
She kicked herself out.
Should
Go
not
Yeah.
be
shocker.
down when
It's
I'm on a
like-
live
That's a
podcast.
shocker.
I'm so
Was
sorry.
it something I said?
Sorry.
No, you're fine. So, so you have a long history in the paranormal field. Do you still actively go on investigations or no?
Oh yes, ma'am. I have one. And November 12th is our next one. I'm going to a home to kind of help them feel out what might be going on. So yeah, I actively do all that stuff all the time. I got a fair coming up at the end of this week. I'll be representing the paranormal there for a couple of days. It's a metaphysical and craft show. So yeah, I'm active in all facets of the field. Still going strong.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I'm just going to always call this person Nolan because I never want to butcher their name. But hi, Nolan. Glad you're here. She's been in another podcast of mine. So, but okay, cool. Yeah, we have a lady. We've done a couple of residentials too, and we have one that the first team is going to go down there next weekend. She's having a lot of stuff going on in her house too. So it's going to be an interesting case. There's kids in the house. So we're going to see what we can do to help her.
Yeah, I think residentials are the most important, versus the other stuff, just because you're going in there to help a family, that's having issues and they're afraid in their own home. You don't want people being afraid in their own home.
Exactly.
And at the same time, you want to help the spirits as well as the living as well. It's kind of like a balance between the two.
Right. So speaking of which, I had Mary Fitzgerald on here last week, and this is for any one of you that want to answer. And in his book, he wrote, it was, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. Legends. Okay. Mary Fitzgerald's book, Legend Seekers. I'm sorry. And I guess it's about Ireland folklore, but he said in there that there's a distinct difference between spirits and souls, that they're two totally different things. What do you guys think? What's your take on it? Whoever wants to answer that one. Because I never really looked at it as a difference until he said something about it.
Right.
Well, as far as my opinion is, I know about. I look at it as ghosts and spirits, kind of a thing. To me, a ghost is someone who has passed on from human form, but still is here earthbound, hasn't crossed over yet. Versus spirits are human entities that are passed on, but they've crossed over to whatever wherever it might be, and they can come back and forth. So that's how I differentiate the two as far as my theory is. So
I missed the question the first time because I was reading the chat room and got distracted. But I kind of agree with Chuck. But so I have even a little broader definition of it, in that I believe that spirits are really any entity from source. And so, which is everything, because we all come from source, right? But they don't necessarily have to have been human. So ghosts are here, they're stuck here. Spirits, because I've communicated with non-human entities that haven't been human, and they're still spirits because they still come from source energy. So I differentiate it just a tiny bit differently.
Yeah, I can see that. Yep.
Okay. Okay, Rose. I will call you Rose. I appreciate you correcting me on that. Thank you. And Hetty says they can be animals too.
Absolutely, 100%.
Oh, okay. So Rose said that she's bigger and the biggest ever believer in the paranormal. I am as well. I had experiences. Of course, I've said it before. Being in my aunt's house, and my sister. Hopefully, she'll get a chance to pop on. She actually lived in that house at one point. So yes, they had a lot more involved with it than I did, but it was still. I used to go on ghost tours, and it wasn't until I moved here that I ended up joining a team, which I never thought that I would end up doing. So that's how I got started. Let's see. So Chucky.
yeah, yes.
I hadn't heard this term until I started getting ready for this podcast. What is a certified master in Reiki? Am I saying it right? Reiki?
Yeah, Reiki is energy that you use to either heal, align chakras, and on as far as that goes. Karen is actually the one who is my teacher.
Oh,
and
wow.
certified me in that, you know what I mean? And I use it for, like I said, for healing purposes, lining chakras, it's a healing energies, basically. I guess is that a good way of explaining it, Karen?
Yeah, it's a universal healing energy. It's available to everyone.
Yep.
It can be used hands-on or at a distance. And I would just also like to point out that Chuck was a very good student. He only had to stand in the corner with the dunce cap once.
That's funny.
Gee, thanks. You said you weren't going to say that on air.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Hey, anything goes when you're on the hot seat. That's why we call it the hot seat.
Woo! I was wondering, I was getting warm on my butt. So, okay. That explains that. Okay.
So how did you get into that, Karen?
Reiki?
Yeah.
So I am a natural born psychic medium and have been hearing from spirits all of my life. It took me until I was an adult to understand that's what was happening. But one of the things that I am is a physical empath. And what that means is that when I walk by you, if you don't feel well, neither do I.
Oh, wow.
And
I'm the same way.
Yeah, see, and it's so Reiki for me was a form of self-preservation. I want to make everybody feel better. And so Reiki is one of the arts that I learned. I've always been very drawn to Japanese culture. I had a Japanese roommate in college who introduced me to a lot of cultural things, and Reiki has Japanese origins. So it seemed like a really good fit for me.
Oh, that's
Wow.
awesome. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Michael.
No, I have an affinity to Japanese culture. I was also told at one point in time I was a Japanese priest in a past life. So that's very interesting that you say that.
Well, maybe you should check Reiki out.
Yeah, it's there and I understand it, and in a way I've done it, but not fully what you guys do as masters. I've cleared energy with people, and instinctively I knew how. I didn't know how I knew how, but I've done it. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Reiki is really the system surrounding the energy, right?
Yeah.
Because the universal healing clearly isn't Japanese healing. It's available to everybody. But Reiki itself is the system that came from Japan working with that energy.
So you don't necessarily have to have a gift to be a Reiki master. You can you don't have to necessarily have this gift. You can just study it.
Yes, you can learn how to do it. I just realized that me sitting here nodding my head was probably not really exciting so I thought I would answer with my voice instead of my gestures.
So Rose said, I've seen ghosts for the first time. Does that mean I have the gift?
Gift as far, well, everybody's intuitive. So, the more you open yourself up, the more you're apt to see things, feel things, experience things. The more you close yourself off with anything, whether it's energy, anything at all, that's what's going to stop you, because
definitely.
Because when we're children, everything's a go, right?
Right.
I'm my child and I say, I'm going to be an astronaut, but I've never taken schooling to be an astronaut, but I believe I can be an astronaut. So I'm open to anything, you know what I mean? As we get older, environmental things and such kind of close us off, and we're told, don't believe in this, don't believe in that, this is real, this isn't real, right. That kind of stuff. So, but when you start to realize that that's really not a truth, that you can be open to all things, then you can see things, you can see signs. We had a show about signs and everything. So all that becomes you're more mindful of what's going on. The more open you're going to be, the more you're going to connect to things and see things and hear things.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has the gift of ability. It presents in different people in different ways. For instance, one of the ways that I mentioned that Michael also has is that we feel other people's physical crap, which is great. But, there are other ways. And it's just, if you open up and you pay attention, then you may discover that you received the gift. So it might be in dreams, like Edgar Cayce, who had all of his things in a trance state. It might be that you see flashes of things in your mind's eye. You might hear snippets of sounds or words in your mind's eye. You might taste things that you're not eating. You might smell things that aren't in the room with you. You might just have what I call spidey sense, where you walk in a room and you go, ugh, right?
Yeah.
Or you might just know stuff. All of those things are valid ways. My husband's psychic ability actually manifests in that man has such a sense of direction. He can be someplace he's never been before, and he intuitively knows which way to go. That's how it manifests for him.
Yeah.
Everybody has some kind of a gift. It's not supernatural. It's something we're all born with. And then, like Chuck said, it's conditioned out of us.
Yeah,
I'm all over
like
the place.
if I'm going somewhere and I'm driving, I'm like, this is not the right way. So yeah, I have a good sense of direction, but I never thought about it that way.
Yeah, no, I get lost in my bedroom. So
Me too. I don't have that gift at all, man. I get lost anywhere. So
Yeah. I could be driving somewhere and like, yeah, this doesn't feel right. I'll have to stop and double check, because GPS sucks. I'm gonna tell you, I do a lot of driving for work. I'm a code enforcement officer, and my GPS, I'll go out in North Phoenix or the north part of Phoenix, and it's just horrible. Can't get a signal.
It's an intuitive gift, though, that you know that and you recognize that, and it feels off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hetty, that actually happens to me as well. She said he'll have dreams, and then months later it happens to me. That actually happens to me quite often. I'll dream about something, then I'll sit there and go, wait, I remember going through this.
Cognitive dreams, I have those too. I don't like them much because it feels helpless. So yeah, I have them as well. They're not my favorite.
I've dreamt of national events that have come true.
Yeah.
I don't like those.
No, they're not my favorite. But what I realized that I can do is I can send healing energy to that. That's literally the only thing I can do. So that's what I do.
Yeah.
I could be rich, but it hasn't happened yet, so I don't know.
Me too,
Does
right?
your palm itch? If you have an itchy palm, doesn't that
I
mean
do have that one. I have a money itch. My right palm itches. I always get paid. I always have money coming, so that works for me. So people can joke around with that one, but yeah, that works for me.
I'd be pouring itching powder over my right palm whenever I wanted something.
Yeah, my sister was just that. And she goes, yeah, she has the money itch. So Rose wants to know, is it dangerous for her to be able to see ghosts? No, I don't think dangerous.
No.
No.
It can be like jumpy, but a lot of times for me, actually growing up as a young person, seeing that, I was more entertained by spirits than the teacher writing on the chalkboard for me. So
it
yeah,
can make you less afraid of things too. Once you recognize that ghosts are people without bodies and that's all they are, they're just people. And what it is good news, because it tells us that something happens after we die.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
And I know, of course, this comes about a lot, that people use the D word when they're explaining paranormal activity, but not everything is demonic. Just because
most things aren't.
Exactly.
I've been doing this for years and years and years, and twice in all of the years that I've done this have I encountered something that I would say was I wouldn't define it as demonic. I would define it as something that's never been a human and therefore doesn't understand human, and it's a lower vibrational being. But I've never encountered anything that I would straight up say, well, that was a demon.
Yeah.
Can I address something? Is there anybody in the feed or here? All of a sudden, I got this major headache. So is anybody here experiencing head issues or?
Yeah, because I had my so I'm old. So I had my shingles vaccine and my flu shot on Friday, and I haven't felt well for 2 days. This is the first time I've actually been upright.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just had to clarify, because I'm like, there's no reason for me to have this monstrosity of a headache right now. So
Sorry, it's me.
that's okay. I had to get validation because I always like that because I'm like, great, now I'm gonna have an aneurysm and die. No, I don't. I'm not saying that.
Say
That's a joke. Okay, it's a joke. So
that.
yeah, it's not a tumor.
So Hetty says that since the World Trade Center tragedy, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I had a dream 2 weeks prior to that.
And Hetty has a headache as well.
Ah, you're the one too. Okay, all right. That's why I was trying to clear.
Oh, sure. Rose wants everybody's names, I guess. Well, they're. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not showing up under your pictures, is it? Oh, yeah, it is.
No, it is. There it is.
Your name is up under their pictures, Rose. So you can copy that down if you want. So okay.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. So Chucky.
Yes, ma'am.
In your experiences, I told Cheryl when we were doing the interview for McAville Paranormal that I haven't had my oh shit moment yet. What was your first oh shit moment, or the moment that happened throughout your experiences, or your that you won't forget that sticks with you?
Well, there's been a few oh shit moments, if you want to call them that. I think the first one really, when I realized that there was a lot more to life than just face value kind of a thing, was I was 15. I've been born with seeing things that other people couldn't see. So, but I didn't really get the whole premise until I got older. So when I was about 15, my mom, she was 36. She developed lung cancer. So, and we had talks about it, and stuff like that, because she knew she wasn't gonna, make it. This is in the 70s, so they didn't really have a lot for cancer.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but I always said, I just don't think that we just fade to black. I think there's just so much more to it. I think we're just too intricate of human, of a being to just, fade to black. You know what I mean? So we had talked about it. Of course, she passed. And I remember two specific things that kind of like stuck with me and said, okay, this is the real thing. The first was when towards the end, when she was getting really sick before she went to the hospital, she used to pace in our kitchen. I'd be upstairs like supposed to be sleeping, but I could hear her crying because my dad's trying to feed her. She can't eat, you know what I mean, because it's real painful. So she's pacing back and forth in the kitchen. You could hear it on the tile floor. So I remember later on after she passed, I was watching TV as in the house by myself, and I heard the same sound of someone walking in the kitchen. So I knew my dad was out, and stuff. So I'm like, well, what's going on? So I went up and in there, and the realization that the floor was not tiled anymore, but was carpeted because he had changed it, kind of struck this chord with me like, what the heck? You know what I mean? So that it was the first thing. And then the second thing was the eye openers. I remember it was during the day I was coming back from a friend's house, and I was thinking about her and, hoping she's okay and everything. And I was walking up and stopped across the street, and I look across the street and I go, wow, that lady looks just like my mom. And then I looked and it was like, it was my mom. I mean, healthy again, just like I remember her. And she just smiled at me, and then she was gone. And to me, that was like my, her thumbs up to me saying I'm on the right path, start looking into this, and I kind of, from that moment on, I was kind of like, pushed me into it even further.
Wow. I know we were talking about dreams earlier, and it made me remember my son, my oldest son. He's 38 now. This was probably about 6 or 7 years ago. He called me, and he was really upset. I mean, he was like in tears. And I'm like, what is going on? He's like, I had this. He said, I was asleep, and Grandma came to me, and she said that she wanted to. I'm getting chills just to even think about it. And she came to him and told him, she said, baby, I'm sorry. I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. And it was so real to him. He woke up and was like, holy crap. And yeah, like I said, he was flat out. He'll probably kill me for telling people he was crying, but he was.
Yeah, so that sticks with you in your head, that that sticks with you.
Definitely.
Letting him know she was okay. Okay, so Rose said you can't see names. So Rose, there's Cheryl Knight. And then there's Chucky G.
I'm the only guy, so you be able to figure that out.
Yeah. And then there's Karen Frazier. Hopefully you have a pen. And if I'm going too fast, let me know. And then Michael Ann is my co-host.
And I'm a girl and not transgender because that was brought up in another podcast.
She is a girl.
Yes, born female. I'm not transgender.
When Michael and I met, and my niece is she's kind of an empath. She lives up in Vegas, and she told me, she goes, Aunt Donna, you should have known she was right for your team because of her name. I was like, yeah, you got a point, because my brother who passed on, his name was Michael. My mother's name is Ann, and she passed on, and her name was Michael Ann. So, and then we clicked. We just hit it off right away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about you, Cheryl? Have you said you can't talk. You've been on Paranormal Investigations, correct?
Yeah. Yes, I have. I do not consider myself, psychic, but to some level, as Karen and Chuck were saying earlier, everyone is psychic. So I have had psychic experiences, dreaming about disasters and then they come true, or seeing an apparition, and then it fades away, or just a number of paranormal experiences that fall into the realm of, a psychic experience.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of a thing. So I totally forgot your question. Oh, investigations.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm not a member of an official team, but we do investigate from time to time with friends. And so we used to live in California. Now we live in Tennessee. So we've done investigations from California across to Tennessee. We investigated on the Queen Mary, which was
that would be awesome.
Which was really interesting. And then we investigated one that we investigated not too long ago here in Tennessee was Brushy Mountain Prison. And that location was really interesting. We were getting real-time EVPs.
Wow.
You question, you play it back, there's an answer.
Yeah.
So shocking stuff like that. We recently went to Waverly. I met up with Karen and a big group of friends at Waverly, and I saw a shadow person.
Oh, Waverly would be awesome to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Karen saw apparitions. And it wasn't as active as the time before that I went, but there was still a lot of activity. We were doing the Estes method live in real time and getting really compelling responses, where you put the blindfold and the headphones and you can't hear anything, but you're fed audio.
Right. The Estes, yeah.
Yes. And so that was a really good experiment. And so I like to investigate in a very casual manner. So I'm not called out. I know Karen and Chuck have done they get called out to homes or wherever to help the person. I just do a little more of my own research at these different locations that are reportedly haunted. I actually believe that everything is haunted. There's nothing that's not haunted. It's just how strong the activity is, whether you're open to it, and if you want to notice it, you will notice it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Have you been to New Orleans, or any of you been to New Orleans? It's really haunted down there.
No,
I'd
love to.
That place is
my
awesome.
next trip down there, Cheryl, will go to New Orleans. If you guys don't move up here first, next time I come down there, that we'll have to drive on down to New Orleans.
We will do that. We did go to Savannah, Georgia.
We went to Savannah.
And my husband's dad, and that was a really cool location, very haunted. It affected my husband. He doesn't like to admit it, but he does have psychic abilities. And so the energy of just the history of the location, and there's dead bodies buried underneath the street, and that kind of thing. It was just very overwhelming for him. And so, but I mean, it's just an amazing location. We went on a haunted tour in Savannah, which was a lot of fun, and it was a great experience. But New Orleans, sign me up. I would love to go.
Oh yeah, I would love to go.
Fairs are haunted.
Yeah, I went with my best friend. 7 or 8 years ago, and I said, Lisa, what do you want to do? She said, whatever you want to do. I was like, okay, don't tell me that. So I tried to get into the cemetery, but they closed at dusk. And then I took her on a walking ghost tour, and she's like, I can't believe you got me in the swamp and you got me on ghost tours. I said, next time you won't tell me, then we'll do whatever I want to do.
Yep.
We love that stuff. Like anything like that, I'm in.
And I've gotten more into it since then. So yeah, and I caught I got some shadow figures on film on my digital camera, and it was great. Yeah, and I went to go look at it, and I'm scrolling through it, and I looked at the tour guide. I was like, "You want to see something? Come here." And she's like, "Can you give me all three of those?" I was like, "Yeah." So yeah, it was great.
Karen and I got a really good EVP when we were at that Airbnb, that really old historical. It was beautiful
In Savannah.
And it was just a real-time response to a question.
It was an 1855 townhouse.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can't even remember what we asked, but it was very clearly a person responding to what we had said.
I think we asked the year that was the townhouse built in.
Was that what it was? And it said 1855.
Man, and my husband was not. He was out doing stuff for us, so it was just Karen and I in this Airbnb, and a man answered yes, and of course we didn't hear him in real time.
Yeah,
it was on playback, so it was pretty cool.
Yeah. See the South hauntings. I just picture me going down there and just want to catch an EVP that's saying, "Hey y'all, how's your mama?" You know, I just your mama and them. I'm just
mama and them.
Yeah, mama and them. How's your mama?
If you
I would probably get one just saying, "Bless your heart."
Oh, bless your heart. Yes, that too.
Oh, bless your heart, honey.
Yep.
If you're in Kentucky, go to Bobby Mackey's, and I know this location is always like kind of overdone, but I've been there twice, and you get some good EVPs. I also saw a shadow person there, and some people claim it's just dark stuff, and I mean, you know, we did get one slightly odd mocking EVP. But you know, you don't really know exactly what's going on or who's behind it. So, Kitty,
is that Loki?
Sorry. That's Loki. Sorry.
So just to answer the question that flashed up on the screen, yes, the Queen Mary is haunted. The author Nicole Strickland is a friend of ours, and she writes for the magazine, and she's written several books about the Queen Mary. And so we were down there in 2019, my husband and I, and she took us on kind of a behind the scenes tour of the Queen Mary, which was super cool. But it is definitely, it's got some stuff, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that on the East Coast? I know I've
Queen Mary is in Long Beach, California.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Loki.
That's my birth city. Go Long Beach, California.
Oh, nice. I'm a Chicago native. I'm a Chicago native. I got tired of the world.
Yeah, that's it. There you go. I was born in Chicago.
Oh, cool. Nice.
I love Chicago.
My husband is Chicago. I feel left out now.
Hey, we wooed for you. What the heck?
Yeah, I'm trying to get my dad to become a snowbird. He don't like the heat, but I want him to get out the winter. He's 85. It's like, dude, come down here. Get out of the cold.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Brian.
For sure.
Brian Horton. St. Augustine's Lighthouse in Florida, huh?
I have not been to that one yet. No, that's on the list.
Yeah.
I've heard about that. St. Augustine, I've been there. And when I was there during my stint with Christianity, anyways, long story short, but it was in St. Augustine, and just the energy there and everything is just amazing. It's one of the oldest port cities, or it is the oldest port city in the United States. So the history alone is amazing, and it's a beautiful city. I want to go there again. definitely.
Cheryl, Chad, and I, when we went to Gettysburg, and then from Gettysburg we were driving to Waverly, which is in Kentucky. So we had to go through West Virginia, and we realized we were going to be very close to Point Pleasant, which is where Mothman is from, of course.
Oh wow!
And so we went to the Mothman Museum, which is it was so fun. It was just silly fun. We laughed a lot. And then Cheryl decided we were going to go find the TNT factory.
Do not ever try that at home if you haven't researched where it is.
We didn't find the TNT factory, but what we did find was something that pierced a hole in our tire.
Oh wow!
Those roads were like this, and we're like doot, 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 all the way through in this new car, new tires.
Oh wow!
So,
Wow!
We rolled into Kentucky a little later than we thought we were going to.
Yeah,
Gettysburg is cool.
It's on my bucket list too. I would love to go.
Mine too, cool. Yeah, definitely.
Brian Horton, he's with PD Region Paranormal in North Carolina. They're gonna. I'm hoping to go out. Well, no, I'm going. They arranged for an investigation in St. Albans Sanatorium in May of next year. So I am so looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, I've heard a lot. I haven't been there, but I've heard that location is really active.
You're fairly close, aren't you, Cheryl? Within driving distance of that.
Yeah. There's a lot of good haunted places around here.
Yeah, well, we're going to be next year. I have to do a Reiki conference in July in the Hudson River Valley, and so my husband and I are going to fly out, and we're going to rent a car, and we're going to kind of wind our way. So we're going to Salem, and we're going to do some of the East Coasty stuff that I've never been able to do before. So
that'll be cool.
Yeah, excited about that.
Yeah, we're talking about packing up, getting us maybe a 15 passenger van or something, and a bunch of us just drive up there, drive across the country and go for this investigation. I was like, yep, I'll take a week off.
Yeah.
I can do that.
We're supposed to go Bigfoot hunting.
Yeah.
In the spring. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've never done anything like that before. Karen, you have.
That would be cool.
I mean, not in any official capacity. I have a lot of friends who do it because I live in Bigfoot country. But no, I think I saw Bigfoot once when we were driving through Mount Rainier National Park down by the river. I was looking for mountain goats, and I was bummed that I saw Bigfoot and not a mountain goat.
Darn.
I'm
Get out of the way.
I
see the goats. Get out of the way.
And that's kind of considered prime Bigfoot country here in Washington State, is out by Mount Rainier. I have a friend who goes up there every summer and does Bigfoot hunting. And we've actually had Barb Shoop, who is Bigfoot hunter, who does it up there on our show.
Oh, cool.
She was cool.
Yeah. I lived in Oregon for a while, and when I first moved out there in Hamlet, we went on a hike way up in the boondocks, tree line, and we were all building. We had a fire, and we just heard this. We knew what it was. It was Sasquatch or Bigfoot or Yeti, whichever it's called. And then we're like, "What do we do?" And some people were, "Let's get out of here." I'm like, "No, let's just sit and roast marshmallows and listen."
Don't run away, run towards it, unless you know it's an animal that wants to eat you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was my thought. I mean, how do you know he doesn't want to come up and say hello and he's just afraid of us? Maybe we could offer him a marshmallow. Maybe
that's why he's always leaving and not coming towards you.
Well, I know they like beef jerky, right? Because I've seen the commercials. So.
Oh yeah. I thought it was Jack's links they like.
Karen, I joke around. I had a meme on my Facebook page that said paranormal investigators are like firefighters. We run in buildings when everybody's running out.
Pretty much.
Right. Yeah,
that's right. Run towards that scary noise.
Yeah, I'd like to go to Wisconsin. I want to try to do this next year and look for the Beast of Brer Road. I think that would be cool.
Ooh,
Mm-hmm.
that'd be a little scary.
Now, what
Yeah,
you have
well,
to tell me exactly what that is.
It's probably just an overgrown cat. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chuck.
an overgrown cat. That's one big cat, man. Yeah, it's supposed to be, basically a werewolf or a skinwalker. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Okay, that's what I was about to say. Skinwalker. Okay.
Yeah. So a lot of books have been written about it, and I just find it very fascinating. You know what I mean? And it's local. It's not far from me, so it'd be kind of cool to go. Of course, I don't want to get eaten, but it'd be kind of cool to check it out. So
yeah, being eaten is.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you appreciating us. That was nice of you.
Oh.
Roasting wieners on the fire.
Yeah, there you
go. So, Cheryl, we was talking about the Ghost Brothers earlier and getting them on the show. So, yeah, you definitely, when we get off here, I want that information.
So Karen, when do we start the new version of the podcast, Mindful Mystics? It was in July, I believe. Was it in July? I think so. Anyway, so we've only had a few guests on because we're doing it once a month. But I've had this many-year dream to get the Ghost Brothers from the TV show The Ghost Brothers onto our podcast, and we did it. They came on our podcast recently, and we had a very nice chat. They're very, very entertaining people, and we loved it. And the show is just as entertaining, so check it out. Yeah. But I
just love Marcus. He just cracks me up.
Yeah, and they bring their humor to their investigation. I mean, they are serious investigators, but they bring the humor into it, and I think that's great. I mean, why not have a little fun when you're investigating?
Exactly.
Respect it, but have some fun at the same time, and you'll find your answers hopefully, and you'll also learn new things. So.
They admit that when they started, they were very, very new and very, very raw and weren't real good at things yet. And there's definitely because I watched a few from each season when I was getting ready to do the show, just so I didn't sound like an ignoramus when they came on, right? And so I watched a few from each season, plus a few of the one they do with Jack Osborne.
Jack Osborne, awesome. Yeah.
But you can see a progression in them getting better and better and starting to really know what they're doing. And it was kind of fun to watch because look, we've all been through that progression, right? But we just didn't do it on national TV.
Exactly.
Yeah.
God.
It's funny because of course I love them, and then because people, and I joke around because I'm a single woman and trying to date, and I joke around that telling people that you're a ghost hunter is kind of a deterrent to get to date, because people look at you and go, "You're what?" And they go, "Black people don't ghost hunt." I say, "Have you seen the Ghost Brothers?" "Yes, we do."
And it's funny that one thing that Donna and I have in common, we're both biracial. So even though I don't look at, my twin looks more black than I do, but it's funny because I'm like, we were somewhere and I'm like, when one sister runs, we all run.
We all run. That's what Marcus would say. When one run, we all run. He just cracks me up. I love them. Yeah. Yes, yes, we have heard of Zach Bagans.
Yes.
We've interviewed Zach Bagans many times, and we've talked to all of those guys before the current group. But Nick especially has been a huge friend of the show, and I've interviewed him for other things, and we've been really lucky in the people that we've gotten to talk to over the years. Stanton Friedman, the UFO researcher, was our very first guest on our very first podcast back in 2009. Before he died, he was fabulous. Oh gosh, who else have we talked to? We've Lloyd Auerbach, a parapsychologist, Lloyd Auerbach. I mean, if they've been on TV in the early days, Katrina Weidman, we've interviewed, Steve and Amy from Dead Files. So we've just been really, really lucky.
Yeah.
And Cheryl is so great at getting those interviews and reaching out to people and getting them to agree to come on our show.
Well, Cheryl,
So
there's me BFF, so I can figure out how to do it too.
we have, there's a few that have gotten away that we haven't been able to interview that are kind of bucket list. But I have to say, the one that Cheryl got for me that was my absolute bucket list was Dr. Raymond Moody, who wrote the books Life After Life and did all of the research about near-death experiences. We talked to him twice, and he was amazing.
Wow.
I've had 2 near-death experiences.
Oh,
Have
wow.
you really? Wow.
Yeah.
What was it?
Were they the classic ones?
Well, the first one I have very vague memories, but the second one, where, long story short, they kept on diagnosing me. By the way, women are misdiagnosed all the time with heart disease. They kept on saying it's menopause, it's depression. This particular day, I said, if you let me go, I'm going to die. They found out through a cath lab I was going to die. Ended up dying near death, and I don't remember going towards a light, but I do remember being, I believe, my place of origin, and I could see all things. I remember visiting my family in the waiting room where the doctor came out and said, you need to say goodbye and start making funeral arrangements. We're not sure if she's going to make it. Because I went down twice. I had to have grafts twice within 8 hours. It's a long story, but another time. Anyways, so yeah, there was lights, and then I remember it was my biological dad, who I believe has ascended. I was given a choice to come back, and they said I was needed for better and greater things, and I decided to come back. So yeah, it's still hard because when you have a near-death experience, and you're connected beyond the veil to that way, and you know there's peace and no hunger and no strife, and you're just chillaxing, it's hard to come back and deal with all those things, you know. So it's been very adventuresome in the last couple of years, that's for sure. And I came back with more gifts as well. So that was a bit overwhelming.
That's fairly common.
I was going to say, doesn't that happen though? Near and death experience, it kind of enriches your.
Yeah. My doctoral thesis, or my doctoral dissertation, was actually about all of tying all of these things together. So basically, paranormal experiences, whether it's near-death experience, whether it's past life memories, experiencing ghosts, and how all of those things are really a bridge to us understanding and recognizing that there's a higher truth, which is that we go on.
So have you ever spoken to Everett Fielding?
I think that's Yvette Fielding from Most Haunted. And
Cheryl did.
Oh, Yvette.
I did.
Fielding.
Okay, I sort of did because I sort of did. Her rep did not want, I don't know if she didn't want her to do a live show with us because we're based in the US. It was something like that. So I emailed the questions to her representative, and she recorded responses and sent them back, and we did the podcast.
Oh,
so
wow.
we didn't get to really talk to her, but she, in a roundabout way, did answer our questions, which was cool. So
I don't think we've talked to John Zaffis. We haven't talked to John Zaffis.
No, we have not.
Oh wow. Okay. At that, yeah.
Sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis is scary to me. I've had that since I was a teenager. And a little bit over the years, and it's pretty much gone now. But it's
like just sleep.
It's very terrifying. I remember just for me, my sleep paralysis was absolutely terrifying. I would wake up, I couldn't move. I had a feeling of a evil presence. It was the typical things that you've heard about, and after a few minutes, it would just go away, and then it was gone. But
sleep paralysis is a physiological thing, right? But that doesn't mean that just because sometimes it's a physiological thing, it's always a physiological thing.
Right. Yeah, my brother had an episode at the Grand Hotel in Jerome, Arizona, which is known to be haunted.
Oh, we were just there.
Yeah, first time he's ever had it, and hasn't had it since. Only at that hotel did he have sleep paralysis.
See, in that case, that leads me to believe that is something different than maybe some type of medical condition or a natural state of sleep paralysis.
Yeah,
possibly something different. Haven't talked to Chip Coffee.
Amy
We
Brady.
have talked to Amy Bruni, haven't we? I
Did
feel
we?
like we've talked to Amy.
No.
Are you sure?
I
No.
know we did Nick and Katrina. I remember that, but
Yes.
I
Yes.
think it was Amy.
I don't know. We're old people, and this is going back into
I did count the number of episodes we've done since 2009.
like 400.
375.
How many?
Wow.
375.
Oh,
I
wow.
knew we were approaching
That's a
400.
lot. I
Yeah.
can't remember half of the episodes at this point.
I
Chip
know.
Coffee would be cool.
I want to be like you guys when I grow up.
I'll have people who will come up and they'll say, or like I'll be at a conference or something. They'll be like, "Oh, I was on your show." Oh,
Thank you.
thank you.
You're like, thanks.
Have you been levitated by
Oh,
a
dear.
demon?
What? No.
No.
What?
Never
No.
thrown across the room.
Well, Brian Horton has. He would, if he was here, he would mention it if he was still here. He got actually thrown against a wall over at St. Albans.
Wow.
I don't think that my experience is I've been hit, punched, pushed down a mountain. But I don't think it was demons. I believe that they were one in Colorado, particular, on a trail that. Anyways, long story short, but I just believe that it was an angry spirit because we were trying to find. We had found evidence of a murder homicide or a murder suicide, and I think that spirit was just reacting like, no, you can't come up here, you can't. So when people say, oh, I got hit and it's a demon, please don't do that.
Look, I don't need demons to push me down. I can trip all by myself.
Yes,
Michael got hit
exactly.
recently. We were where was we were at the jail, Michael, when you got hit? You had another.
Yeah, we were in the morgue and we were doing a session. My head started to
the
hurt,
whole jail, yeah.
and I get out and there's this lump on the side of my head, and it was hurting. I was like, something, and then I went just to confirm there wasn't. I had to go to the doctor the next day. It's like, well, yeah, there's a big lump. I don't see it. But how did you get it? I'm like, I hit the door.
Yeah, they don't like it when you go to the doctor and say, look, I think I've been attacked by a ghost.
Exactly.
They put you on a 72-hour hold for that kind of
Right.
thing.
Right.
Exactly. So, I mean, I have had, I remember after my heart surgery, I was in my bedroom and a voice came out of the closet and said, hello. And I'm like, who is this? And I said, identify yourself. He said, this is Satan. I said, fuck no, goodbye. I said the F word. I'm sorry.
Actually, you only said it once, so you're good.
You almost made it to the end.
I know I did.
It wasn't me.
We were at an old YMCA, not last week. It wasn't last weekend, was it? Weekend before last. We were at an old YMCA that was built in like early 1900, and we packed up our equipment. We were getting ready to leave, and Michael, Sherry, Megan, and I were in this room. Charles goes off. He's looking for a piece of my equipment, and we hear this lady laugh. And we kind of looked at each other like, you heard that, right? It was like, yeah, we heard that. Didn't have any equipment on her, just as loud and clear as she was standing in the next room with us.
Laughed us out of the building.
Yep, laughed us out the building.
Like, ha, I didn't say anything, but now I am. Ha ha. I'm like, fuck, shoot.
Okay. So I know we can keep going on and on, but I know you guys have to go because you're on the East Coast and you need to get some rest for your day tomorrow. I really appreciate you coming on. It's been great.
Absolutely.
Alarm on my phone going off. So if you hold on a minute, I'm gonna go ahead and take us out. And then
Thank you, everybody.
But yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you need to have me, not have, oh my God, I'm just going to shut up.
Oh, maybe even tell people where to find you. You can do that real quick if you don't mind. Where to find the magazine and
Sure. You can find Paranormal Underground Magazine at paranormalunderground.net. You can find it on magcloud.com or on issue.com. And you can find our podcast. You can find all of our podcasts from the last 14 years on Podbean or iTunes. But our newest podcast, Mindful Mystics, will show up as the most recent on Podbean or iTunes. Pretty soon I'm going to get them up on all the other platforms. I just haven't done it yet. Sorry.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Karen and Chuck, what about you?
Yeah, what about you?
You can find me
Ladies
and
first.
all of my books and everything at author Karen Frazier. It's spelled FRAZIER.com. And this weekend or next weekend, a week from today, it'll be over. But if you are in Virginia Beach, I will be at the Edgar Cayce Association for Research and Enlightenment teaching about psychic abilities.
Oh, nice.
Oh my God, I want to go.
Yeah,
Not too late.
As far as
Short
I'm
plane
concerned,
ride
you just go to.
Sorry.
What's that? No, that's okay.
I said just a short plane ride to Karen's event.
All right, no problem. Yeah, and for me, it's just basically ChuckyG, theinnervoicehealer.com, and you can go there, and it's got everything paranormal, metaphysical, all that pretty much combined.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining us. Everybody that was tuned in today and watch us, thank you very much. And have a great Sunday. Have a great week. And we will see you next week.
Thank you and have.
Okay. Thanks.